This is that one mindset shift that you need in order to live your dream life. I stumbled across an interview with Ramit. He is a money and personal finance expert who I've followed for a really long time, and he brought up this concept that really intrigued me. He talks about why you should stop focusing on the $3 questions and start focusing on the $30,000 questions. At first, I was like, what's a $3 question? What's a $30,000 question? Am I doing $3 questions or $30,000 questions? I was so intrigued. I was so curious about what that concept was about. A $3 question is things like, should I get my coffee on the way to work? Or should I switch my banks so I could save a little bit of money every single month? He dubs those as decisions that don't really make a dent in your overall finances, in your overall rich life plan. And a $30,000 question is one where you talk about your savings rate, your investing rate, negotiating your salary. Those questions where when you answer them will make a big impact in your finances, way more than those $3 questions. One of the biggest takeaways I got from this concept that he talked about was that $3 questions affect you on a day-to-day basis. Every single day, you're gonna think about, should I buy that coffee? Should I not? Should I buy appetizers at dinner? Or should I buy a drink at dinner? Or should I just stick with water? You think about these decisions every single day, and they make no difference, or they don't make a major impact in your finances compared to $30,000 questions. Those questions, maybe you do once a year, maybe twice a year, or a handful of times. You sit down, you map it out, you think about how everything fits together. And once you have the answer, that's it. Just follow the plan and it kind of goes automatically and you don't have to check in on it as often versus the $3 questions. You're constantly having to think about not spending that $3 on the coffee, not spending the extra $5 here for whatever thing. And I don't know, I just really like that concept where you just think about it. You have intentional time where you figure out what you want and how you're gonna get there, and that's it, versus thinking about it every single day. Another way I like to think about this is thinking small versus thinking big. When you think small, when you solve small questions, you get small returns, small rewards. But when you think big questions and when you solve big questions, you get big rewards, big returns. For us, when we think about $3 questions, a lot of it is on the expense side. I guess it's more the budgeting side of things. And don't get me wrong, budgeting is good and important, but you can only budget so much. You can only cut down on your costs so much until you're pretty much capped. And you're probably not living your ideal life at that point. And it's never really been for us. What we realized is you can only cut down so much of your expenses until you're kind of just plateaued. And the biggest way you can make more changes is to focus on the income side of things, the investing side of things, the $30,000 questions after we've already figured out everything on our budget side. $30,000 questions are questions on how we can make more money. How can we invest more money? How can we acquire assets that will help us make more money down the road? And we like to hang around in the $30,000 question area. And for the last 5 years, our investments have grown 800% since then, have acquired multiple properties, have over $1 million invested, all because we focused on big questions, those $30,000 questions instead of the $3 questions. An example of how we use a $30,000 question every single year is in the beginning of the year, Mal and I sit down and we pool all our finances together, figure out what went right, what went wrong last year, and where we stand financially, and then build our year. So we build what our goals are for the end of the year, what we would like invested, where we would like our investment accounts to be, are we buying a property that year, and all that fun stuff. Funny enough, our baseline that we need to invest for the year is $30,000. So I do find that funny how the $30,000 question is to invest $30,000 at a minimum this year. And by doing that, we are gonna set up automated investments between both of us and our businesses so that by the end of the year, we have $30,000 invested. And what's key here is automated. We don't even have to think about it anymore, and it just does its thing every single month. And by the end of the year, it's already accumulated $30,000. Again, that's kind of the difference between the $3 question and $30,000 question. Once we figured out what we needed to do, set up the automation, and like that's it. We didn't have to think about it anymore, versus the $3 question with the coffee example. Every single day you're thinking about not buying that coffee, not buying that coffee, not buying that coffee. And for us, the $30,000 question, it's automated, do it once, and then you set it and forget it. But it's not to say that we are now only operating in just the $30,000 question world. It is a back and forth. It's always an ongoing thing. It's never gonna be one or the other. Some examples would be sometimes when I have a scarcity mindset, when business is not going as hot as I thought it would be, I tend to gravitate back down towards the $3 questions. I've thought about driving for Uber because I haven't made a sale in a month. Or I think about working harder in a business model that I'm not a fan of just to try and make ends meet, versus I should have thought about the $30,000 questions where I should be building something that's more sustainable and that creates recurring revenue every single month, or figuring out a way to scale my real estate services and business by being more efficient and working less. Those are the two ways that sometimes I go back towards the $3 questions, but you could just quickly switch your mindset and go back to the $30,000 question. Another concept that's similar to this is 10x is easier than 2x. I know when I first heard it, I'm like, well, to 2x your business seems more, seems easier, seems more attainable than 10xing your business. But when you think about it, 10xing your business is gonna require a whole different mindset, a whole different game plan to achieve that, versus just 2xing. You could just keep doing status quo, maybe work a little bit harder or change a few little things, but 10x is really gonna push you to change and push you to think of new ideas to really propel yourself forward. To me, that's kind of like the $30,000 question, and the 2x or 1x is kind of like the $3 question. We've also seen a lot of our peers and friends become really successful through this concept alone. We're in the personal finance niche, and a lot of our peers get asked, what's the one stock that helped you get to where you are, or what did you invest in to become so successful? And the reality is, it's starting a business. The $30,000 question was starting that business. Starting the business got them to where they were. Not any individual little stock, but it was actually starting a business and generating more income for themselves. That's what got them to where they are, and not because of any specific stock that they invested in. Another example of it not always being one or the other is that I asked Mal a question the other day, and I'm like, just thinking about a wedding, like if and when we do get married, where does that money come from? I was like, a wedding could cost $50,000, for example. I'm like, where is that gonna come from? Is it gonna come from our investments? Do we have to like save a little bit of money every single month and put it towards it? And I just wanted to have a conversation to talk about where those funds are gonna come from. When I asked her the question, she's like, that money for our wedding is gonna come from business growth. It's gonna come from that next big thing that we're gonna build and work for. And it just made me realize I have to think about the $30,000 question, not the $3 question. I was trying to see where we can pull from to pay for our wedding, which we could, but she challenged me to think bigger, think $30,000 question. What is the big thing that we could do to then pay for that wedding, instead of just looking around at different accounts where we could pull that from? Anyways, I just really wanted to share this concept with you. Hopefully it made sense and I was able to provide some examples here. To me, it really helped, and it really frames my mindset on thinking big in building my rich life. And hopefully it helped you as well. Let me know in the comments if you have any $3 or $30,000 questions. I'd love to know.